All right, we're back. It's been a little while. We took a little bit of a break. I'm not like Candace Owens. I'm not pregnant. Ian Carroll is not going to take my spot. Now, have you actually seen that, Cody? Candace Owens is gone now, obviously. Well, she's not gone, but Ian Carroll took her spot, and he actually had a pretty good episode already.
On the Candace Owens show?
Yep. Yeah, he's filling in, so they're keeping the show rolling. Pretty good. He's pretty good. He also was currently weirded out by, the whole Trump allying with the more Arab countries, So he was kind of like, whoa, like Trump's actually doing something. But, yeah, it is what it is. We have an American Pope. USA. It's awesome. I'm so happy. He's from Chicago.
The mark of the beast.
That's true. If you go to the Adventist circles. He is Satan, I think. But no. His brother lives in Port Charlotte, Florida, which is like where the family has a vacation house. So it's kind of hilarious. I was like, man, I might see his brother driving through. That would be cool. Get an autograph from the Pope's brother. Do you go to hell in Adventism if you do that?
If you get an autograph?
From the Pope's brother, not from the Pope.
Nah.
You think you're fine?
Are
you sure?
I mean, it would be frowned upon.
Okay, it'd be frowned upon. But not hell.
No.
Not straight to jail.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, you can do that, guys, just so you know. Don't know if you want to. But anyway, no, the Pope, actually, we'll see what happens from his administration. He did choose the name Leo, Pope Leo, which is going to be a lot more along the lines of, at least in the past, it's been used for a lot more like, what would I say, theological, more to the book rather than, I would say, cultural influence. So a lot more getting back to your roots kind of thing, which I think is good in general. And he is very anti-abortion. He is anti-trans. He is anti-gay. And he's a little liberal on immigration. Overall, a very, very big improvement from the last Pope. Pope Francis was a Jesuit, and he probably, I shouldn't say that, but, him and Epstein were probably tight. Who knows? Allegedly. I wouldn't be surprised. He was a Jesuit, and people are creeps. What? You think the Jesuits are going to come for us?
Probably.
Probably it happens.
But it is what it is.
It happens, brother. Dude, the Adventists were right. If a Jesuit shows up at my bedside, I'd be like, Ellen was dead on it. Ellen knew. Old EG. But yeah, no, Trump is actually currently in the Middle East while we're recording this. Well, he's kind of towards the tail end of his trip now. And he has gotten $1.2 trillion in investment from Qatar pledged, and he's also gotten $600 billion from Saudi Arabia pledged. And I was kind of thinking about it from the perspective of, let's just say that only 20% of all of that kind of actually floods into the U.S. economy over the next 4 years, just over the next 4 years. That's still an incredible amount of money. That's still, let's say 20%. We're still at, what is that? That would be, let's just say $350 billion from, Qatar, $2 billion from $200 billion from Saudi Arabia. That's like over $500 billion that we're going to have just coming into the nation, just cash. So, I think that's really huge. I think that's a massive win. It's kind of cool to see a president going and negotiating on behalf of the American people and specifically for trade deals. And I feel like the U.S. has not flexed that muscle. We always flex it for geopolitical power in the region, right? So we'll do this for you, or we'll give you this good trade deal if you let us build a base here, right? Or if you let us control this political party, right? Or if you let the CIA do operations in your country without squealing. And now it's kind of the opposite side of things, in which it's like, no, who cares about that? Let's just roll with it. Let's do the opposite. Let's go in the negotiation saying, hey, we want a good trade deal. That's all we care about. Oh, you don't care about manipulation. You don't care about starting a new war here or that. It's like, no. We just want a good trade deal. So it's really working out. It's working out so well that China has now announced a 90-day relaxation of the tariffs. We're going from 145% tariff down to 30% on them, and they're going to drop theirs from 125 all the way down to 10. So you kind of see that it's automatically kind of starting out. Like, I think if they've already announced this, it's probably going to go on out from there, that they're going to charge us 10 and we're going to charge them 30. That's an immediate, that's a crazy advantage. I can't believe China went for that. I can't believe it. I don't know how the Trump administration did it. So hats off to them. The cool thing is that you're seeing that our nation is in a surplus right now, at least just tax revenue wise. And I mean, we're at revenuing. How much is Trump claiming? $5 billion a day from tariffs alone, I think is
I'm not
is the
sure.
concept, which is really cool. He also announced that India has offered to do 0% tariffs on the U.S. with what I assume would be a small U.S. tariff on them. So you're saying that we're going to tariff everybody around the world, but they're not going to tariff us, which is like, whoa, that's crazy. Because a lot of times people don't realize is that Canada, EU, China, they all had tariffs on us already, and now it's just kind of become a blown up thing. Like, hey, why did you have tariffs on us and we didn't have any on you? You're going to keep your tariffs the same, so nobody will notice a difference, at least here in America. But we're going to raise our tariffs, So it's an interesting tactic. We haven't seen prices go up, which is also something crazy. I thought we would see a massive, not massive, but I thought we would see an increase in pricing when Trump like completely cut off trade to China by raising it to 145%, and then he threatened like the night he's like, if you do it again, I'm going to 250, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I mean, obviously you couldn't. It basically shut off trade. I know Valuetainment said that they had a massive, shipment of merchandise for SLS, Sales Leadership Summit, and it was just off the coast. They couldn't get it in because, like, all of a sudden now you got to pay that crazy 145% tariff. So I don't know what they ended up doing, and I mean it sucks now because now it's not much of a tariff. But anyway, it is what it is. I think that's pretty much it around on the trade deals. I mean, the biggest thing is that Trump is now really trying to push for peace. Russia and Ukraine is proving to be a much harder conflict to stop than I think even the conservatives claimed. It is becoming very, very difficult just because Putin doesn't appear to want to immediately come for peace, mainly because I don't think he wants to look weak. He doesn't want to look like, oh, Trump came in and was like, hey, you and you be good. I don't think he wants that. I think he wants to make it a big negotiation, which I think actually makes Trump look better too. People would just claim, oh my goodness, he's buddies with Putin or whatever. So I actually think it's good that Trump's getting mad at Putin. So yeah, that's interesting. Apparently Bibi Netanyahu and the Israelis have been cut off from the U.S. government. Mike Waltz, who was kind of caught, I guess, funneling information back to them, was moved from at least the national security role. So that's pretty cool. It is what it is. I think it's more of an announcement, though, from the Trump administration trying to get Israel to cooperate with ending the war in Gaza. Trump now just said, was it yesterday or so, he's like, they need to be good to the people in Gaza, right? We need to treat them nice and right. And that's just like, well, it's totally different from what you were saying a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's like, we need to get them aid. We need to get them all this stuff. And it's like, you literally were just talking about building hotels. But
Gaza Largo or something.
Yeah. Dude, Gaza Largo. They do that. They had like trannies dancing on the beach in the video. I was like, oh,
building Buc-ee's and McDonald's.
Oh, it is what it is. But no, the tariff thing seems to be really working out because the UK also reached an agreement. Canada might be in big trouble. Canada might be in big, big trouble. If the U.S. strikes trade deals with everyone and Canada's the last one standing, we might just decide to destroy them.
Wouldn't take much.
Wouldn't take much. It would take, 45 Floridians, but, it is what it is.
With a pet gator.
Pet gator. Well, gators, I mean, it's kind of close to what Canada is. Gay. Sorry.
That was a horrible joke.
But I wanted to call him gay. I wanted to call him gay so bad, and I just couldn't figure out a way to do it, where it flowed with the conversation. So, anyway, Canadians are gay. News alert. No, I mean, I actually feel like Alberta and those places are based, but you start going to the French areas, it's like, God help you. But actually, that kind of brings us to Canadian news. In more faggotry, the Canadians elected Carney. You can't make this stuff up. Poilievre loses, the conservative, who was up by somewhere around 20 points a year ago or so, lost the election. How? How do you do that? Really popular figures like Donald Trump Jr., Patrick Bet-David have specifically called him out, saying he's lazy. He felt entitled to it. He refused to go on any shows. Trump apparently some Trump advisors actually reached out to him and were like, "Hey, we'll get you on Nelk." And Nelk themselves actually reached out because they're massive in Canada. That's where they're from. And they were like, "Hey, we'll get you on. We'll get you on Theo Vaughn. We'll get you." I mean, those are huge shows. yes, fine. Not 80% of their audience is in Canada for Theo Von. But I bet you 1 million of them listen to him. And when you're talking about an election, that's a big deal. I mean, the whole concept is I talk to 1 million here, I talk to 1 million here, I talk to 1 million here. You do that 100 times, you talk to 100 million people, right? Mm-hmm. That's the concept. So, anyway, PBD claimed that apparently their office hung up on their booker, on Value Entertainment's booker. They're like, this has never happened in our entire time ever doing this with politicians across the world. Bernie Sanders, didn't matter who it was, literally hung up on them. And it's like, oh my gosh, apparently they're very pompous, and they deserve to lose. Because, I mean, if you're going to be that idiotic, I mean, this should have been a slam dunk. The way the Canadians have handled everything, the deterioration, the average, the average Canadian is now poorer per capita than the average person in Mississippi. Mississippi. Mississippi, we think of trailers. And, we think of, India's way down here. But, we think Mississippi, it's getting there. If you get Mississippi 100 years, it might turn into it, Mississippi's bad. Anyway, no shade, Mississippi, but get your stuff together. But anyway, the Canadians are poorer than that. So you go, how is that possible, right? We see Toronto. We see Vancouver. We see these high expensive, housing and all that. So it's just crazy. I kind of feel bad. Also for the state or the province, of Alberta. The province of Alberta is currently, these port cities, so they're landlocked. They're the province in the middle, so they can ship oil, and they're a big oil and cattle province. Very similar to Texas. Texas is big on cattle, big on oil, right? That's exactly what Alberta does, and Alberta is far, far richer than any of the other states by the amount of energy they produce. That's what they do. They produce energy. But Canada hates energy, right? They hate energy because they hate oil. They hate natural gas. They hate cows too. What? You know you've gone too far.
Methane, baby. They fart methane.
Fart and methane. I mean, I don't really like the idea of cow farts either, but it doesn't make me go genocidal against cows. Calm down, bro. Anyway, so they're putting massive fees on Alberta to ship out of the ports, but guess who's keeping the money? British Columbia, and these other provinces of Canada, the liberal ones. So they're kind of robbing them, and they're kind of like, oh, you're landlocked, you're screwed. And it's like, whoa. So anyway, Trump, the administration is reaching out, trying to get them to be the 51st state of the United States, Alberta, because saying, hey, 0 fees. You can ship out of Texas, LA, New York. Doesn't matter. 0%. Not only that, but your regulations would go away. So now you can drill what you want. Your cattle, you can do whatever you want. I mean, that would be crazy. They wouldn't be. I mean, if Canada as a whole state, as a whole country would join us in the States, they wouldn't even be top 2 biggest GDP But I mean, it would still be awesome for the Alberta. They're also very conservative. I know probably a lot of right-wing people are like, we don't want them to join, because that's how I was. I was like, what? We don't want those queers. They're going to be making Elizabeth Warren our president and soon to be emperor. It's like, could you imagine?
To roam the motherland.
Dude, Pocahontas, bro, just out there in sandals. Just going up and down, canvassing or whatever she changes the White House to a teepee.
That woman. Oh, my goodness. That woman.
You talk about the most retarded people. It is kind of funny, though, to listen to them from years ago. Hillary Clinton even, or Elizabeth Warren. I mean, Elizabeth Warren, I think, is kind of dumb. She actually might also be getting crazy because she's getting old. I don't think she was actually that dumb, because you listen to her back in the day, she actually had a handle on it. It was like Hillary Clinton saying, if you come to America, you better speak English. And it's like, whoa. You play that now, everybody's like, are you sure that's her?
It's AI.
She had Confederate flags behind her, and it's like, what? I mean, it's really funny. It's crazy how things change, and people choose to forget. Imagine if Donald Trump grew up with Confederate flags behind him, when he was a senator. Imagine if Donald Trump was a senator and had a Confederate flag behind him for years. Oh, my goodness.
It would be the end of time.
It would have been the end of time, man. But Hillary Clinton can do that and then not get called the racist. Okay, it is what it is. But no, Canada's in a rough spot. especially the goal from the international community, at least from Europe and the Canadians' perspective, was maybe we can hold out. Maybe we can all hold out if we get everybody kind of on one side. We know China's not going to side with the U.S., so if we can all hold the line, we're going to be able to force the United States to do what we want, right? And not only that, I think they kind of wanted to punish the general populace of the United States, because if they do that, well, then guess what? Trump loses the midterms. Trump's whole ideals are thrown out the window because it was like, oh my gosh, it was a massive failure. But guess what? The UK bends the knee, right? Keir Starmer, those guys. Well, why? Because the UK's in a really, really bad situation. I mean, they're extremely poor. They're hemorrhaging money. They're not in the EU, right? So they're on their own island. Funny. But they're in big trouble. So they come to the United States, and Trump makes a deal with them. Trump makes a deal with China. Trump makes a deal with, it looks like, India. Trump makes a deal with Pakistan. Trump makes a deal with what was the other country that he was talking to? Anyway, I mean, he's got deals coming all over the place, and the way that he also did it was he started with the smaller countries, right? He was like, hey, the first X amount of countries that come to me, I'm going to give a better deal, right? So all these smaller countries all lined up. So now Trump's able to really focus on, all right, these are the big guys. If we can get trade deals with Japan and South Korea, China, that's massive, right? Absolutely massive for the U.S. And he just fills in the rest of the map. So, I mean, if he gets Canada on an island, they're going to have to do what we say, and I think Trump's going to be kind of pissed at him, especially if they disrespect him again. So, bend the knee or face the consequences. So yeah, that was a lot. Whew. We went through tariffs. We went through the Middle East. We went through the Pope. We went.
Yeah, why don't you hit on the Apple deal?
Oh
to
yeah,
move to
yeah.
India?
It's actually funny. I literally had it here.
Plays right into this.
Yeah, exactly. Because like part of it is like there's volatility with China. So the goal is not just, hey, we want tax revenue out of the tariffs, right? Which nobody's thinking about, but that is the goal of Trump. Everybody's thinking that it's about bringing manufacturing home. Okay, that's a subset of, yes, that would be cool if we got that. But that's not the overarching goal. The overarching goal is to bring in tax revenue. And I'll tell you why here in a second. But Apple announces that they're going to move at least the entire manufacturing of the iPhone, at least sold to Americans, to India rather than China. So they're moving out. By the end of 2026, they will be out of China, which is kind of crazy. I mean, because I know I was looking at it, what was it, a year or two ago, Cody? And they claimed they put all this effort in and they moved 1% of their production. Yeah. And it was like, oh, this is going to be, that made me feel like it's going to take them 40 years to do this. But guess what? When you slap 145% tariff on it, it's like, oh, guess what? We can't do China. So I think
it's not an option.
Exactly. And I think they're seeing the writing on the wall. I think it's going to be better for Apple, though, because now they have it diversified, right? They'll have massive production in India and China. And guess what? If you want to tariff us at all, either way, let's say India gets a pain at some point, they're going to be like, we have massive production capability in China. We'll just ramp that up. Like, be in line, know your place. So I think, what is it? Apple's a $3 trillion company, right? Something like that. So they definitely, I mean, they have say on the global stage. I mean, what's the GDP of India? Could you look up real quick? I'm so fascinated with that. And then let's look up what's the worth of Apple. 3.5. Okay, 3.5 trillion. And then what's the how much is Apple worth? Let's see. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be, dude.
Wow.
Look at that. Market cap, 3.16 trillion. So India's worth 3.5 trillion. Apple is worth 3.2 trillion. You see what I'm saying? Like legitimately, Apple is a massive player. They are not like, oh, they're like staring India down as like siblings. So that's crazy.
That's wild.
That is a wild thought. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you look at that and you say, okay, well now Apple is going to have massive leverage over the region, which as an American you want, right? You want our interests to be spread abroad. That's kind of what's beautiful about, the capitalistic model in that sense. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I'm excited. I know there's a higher failure rate with their manufacturing in India, but I assume that it'll get better and they'll have less duds because, well, they haven't done it that much. And yes, this is only going to be the U.S. lines made 100% and exclusively in India and the U.S. And that was part of the deal Trump made with Tim Cook, is that part of that has to come back to the United States. So the higher end manufacturing has to be back here. So, it ended up working out for him. So, yeah.
I wonder if they're just gonna like roll in and kind of occupy like entire cities, like like what SpaceX did with Texas, what they made like Starbase. I wonder if they're gonna do something like that in India, where they just kind of like manufacture a whole joint.
It only takes like $84, so it's not gonna be hard. No, I mean they probably will. They might buy provinces. I mean, genuinely, because you think about how much Apple has, how much money, them putting 3 production plants.
And just cash on hand, too.
So much. I mean, their margins are crazy on this stupid thing. I mean, they made this for next to nothing, and I paid so much money for it. So anyway, it's incredible. I mean, everything's in here's iPhone, Apple. How many Apple devices do we have in this freaking room?
4.
4. Well, in your Mac, 5.
Yeah.
MacBook Pro, then we just bought the
iPad.
You have an iPad. Then we bought the Apple Watch. Then we just bought the Mini.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We got a lot of Apple devices.
They're just cashing in on us. But
yeah, I give them a lot of money.
He's like, I am part of that 3.2 trillion market cap.
Yeah. I have a few shares, and they have done very well.
Okay.
Very, very well.
There you go.
So, the market is down a little bit, but when I bought them, I've like doubled my money. So
that's a win. The Dow, apparently I heard, rallied by 1,000 points when these trade deals got announced. So,
I mean,
that's crazy. Can we look at that? Look at the S&P. I just want to look at from when Trump took office, before Trump. Let's do like this S&P 500. I want to compare October's numbers, like before Trump got elected. 2024. Yep. Let's look at it. Just go to the S&P 500, and we'll just look at the graph. Just do S&P 500. Because I would love to see. Yeah, there you go. All right, do more. Hit more.
So he got.
Just hit more, and then we can do.
He got elected.
Hit 1 year. Yeah, hit 1 year.
He got elected.
Yeah, that's right about where he got elected.
Yeah.
There we go. So if we do like October. Okay, so it was like 5, somewhere in there before his election, November 4th, or the night of. Okay,
this is when he got elected right here.
Yep. So it's 5,700 before he got elected, right about there, right?
Yeah.
So right before he gets elected, it's 5,700. Currently, it's 5,900. So the Dow is up. I mean, I'm sorry, the S&P's up. So
April was the low point at 49.
Yep. Because tariffs got announced, right? Everybody flips out, and guess what? It's right back. It's above when Trump even got elected. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it. It's like, man, everybody freaked out. And you can see by that graph, everybody freaked out. But now everybody's like, oh no, it's all going to be good. And the market is the best indicator, right? Because the S&P, I like the S&P better because it's the top 500 companies in the U.S. That's all it is. So it's literally just, it's a good health check on, hey, how are the U.S. companies doing? What's the outlook for specifically U.S.-based companies? I think that's pretty cool. And we can see that it's actually really positive. But yeah, no, I tell you what, let's jump into the overarching goal of tariffs. What is the overarching goal? Okay, the overarching goal, yes, is to leverage, to bring manufacturing jobs here, right? I think they actually are having such success with bringing manufacturing jobs here. There's a reason that we're not going to deport anyone, right? And I know Trump fans are going to be really upset with it. It's true that we're going to deport less than Obama did his first term. That sucks, right? I mean, it does. I mean, we might get into the hundreds of thousands. That's it. I mean, I don't think we're going to crack 1 million. And that's really pathetic because, I mean, the goal was 21 million, right? But I think the main idea behind that is, well, we're going to need people to do these manufacturing jobs, right? So I genuinely think that's what it's kind of pointing back to. But the overarching goal is to do all of those things. But the main objective is Trump's goal to cut income tax to zero for people making between $150,000 to $200 a year. That's the goal. That's what he wants. He wants 0% tax. And he brought it to the House Republicans, and the House Republicans told him, no, we can't do that because we don't have enough tax revenue. We want to balance the budget, right? We want to balance the budget. So you have these two forces where it's like all he has to do is go to the Republicans and say, look, I have the tax revenue now. Let's cut it because guess what? We have the same, if you cut these taxes, we have the same government income, if you will, or tax revenue in general as we did before, before and after, right? It didn't change from November of last year to now because of my tariffs. So the only worry is that the government might like having that extra money and be like, oh, who cares, right? Let's keep the tax rate there. We're getting extra money from tariffs. Let's just roll. Trump will lose his mind if they do that. So I hope that this is part of his deal. And I think that's his overarching goal. He wants to do something that would make lasting change to the American economy. That's what he's a big picture thinker.
That's a legacy right there.
That is a legacy. Because who's going to be able to throw taxes back on?
Yeah.
Who's going to be able to do that? Nobody's going to be. You go from zero, you might be able to throw like 2% on. Right, but it's only going to be in those increments. Nobody can go, oh, let's throw 10 to 15% on people making $30,000 a year. People are going to flip out on you. They're going to flip out.
Yeah, if you go 0% taxes for people, it's like up to $200,000. I think is like the.
Yep, that's the goal.
Would be 0%.
Yep,
it's like, dang.
And he's tracking to be able to replace that with tariff revenue. So that's the goal. The goal is not to get to 0% tariffs for everybody. The goal is not to bring home all this manufacturing. Those are all cool things that might happen. But the main goal is to bring in enough tax revenue to where the margins are eaten by the big corporations and the foreign governments and foreign companies. They're eating that 15%, 30% tariff, somewhere in there. They're eating majority of that. We might see inflation around 1 to 5% here in the U.S. We do every single year since the beginning of the United States, the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, but who cares if you're not paying 20 to 40% in taxes?
Exactly. And if it's a one-time increase of inflation, right? If you have a one-time 2% increase in inflation extra, right, than what you would have, okay, I'm fine with that. My tax rate went from 20% to 0. That's cool. So, or if you're making $200,000 a year, oh my goodness, your tax rate went from 40% to 0. Or 35% to 0. So, I mean, that's pretty incredible. I mean, hats off to if they can pull that off. So, and Trump also is open to raising it for people making over $1 million a year. He wants to possibly raise theirs to 42%, which is blowing people's minds, right? Because what? Trump wants to raise taxes on the high income,
Yeah. It's
very weird. He wants them to go from 37 to 42%. So, yeah, really crazy stuff. But, I think that's the overarching goal. If Trump does that, the legacy is there. Nobody can come and change it for many, many years down the road. And, it's going to be exciting. I mean, can you imagine the economic boom that we'll have? Like, I
can't imagine, but I imagine it's pretty good.
I mean, imagine $100,000 a year. The average person's making $100,000 a year. You're paying, look that up real quick. How much is a person making $120,000 a year pay in federal taxes? Yeah, ChatGPT is probably the best. I was thinking, Google's going to have a freaking coronary. Oh, man. Let's see. How much do you think? I mean, in my mind, I'm going, okay, they probably pay on $50,000, maybe 30% or something, 50%. So I'd say like $20,000, $30,000, maybe 20. I would guess. Okay. What's the total? Just go down to the bottom. Okay, total
Roughly
federal 18. That's what it says.
Yeah. Approximately 18,000.
Bringing total tax burden to the federal and state level to $25,000 if you live in New York. Okay. So for a person making $120K a year, you're going to save $20K in federal taxes essentially. That's crazy. That's $20,000 that guy did not have and is now able to just deploy in capital because he's going to buy crap. He's going to buy crap. So, I mean, imagine that's all of a sudden people going, oh my gosh, I can have an awesome vacation with my family for $7,000 in Florida, right? So now everybody's going to here and here and here for vacation. Hawaii's going to get hit up way more because now $10,000 for a vacation in Hawaii, I have that now. And I'm just X, Y, and Z. I'm a nurse who works a lot of overtime. You see what I'm saying? Like, whoa.
Especially if the bill passes where, not taxing overtime either.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that would kind of go one and the same. Like if the other one gets passed, then overtime's not going to be charged.
That's true. That's true because they're not even collecting it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. And I'm thinking about it from the perspective of both incomes. Let's say you're one's a nurse and one's a manager at a auto mechanic place, right? One's making $80,000 a year. The auto mechanic guy, the nurse is making $120,000. That's $200,000, right? So you're paying probably $30,000 a year in taxes because you're married. You're able to get some deductions. You're not going to just pay basically double that, right? You're not going to just pay $40,000. But let's say you pay $30,000 in taxes. Well, now you have $30,000 to deploy in the U.S. I mean, that's just crazy. What that's going to do for the economy. I mean, get
a car.
It's a car. It's crazy. I mean, people get really excited about oh well. It would be really cool if we could raise, everybody's salaries by 10%. Like that would be cool, right? Like getting the average person another 8, or like if you make a lot of money and you're doing $80,000 a year, imagine if that guy had another $8,000 to spend, right? Well, now we're like, oh, what if you had, 15, like immediately, and that 10% raise is like so theoretical. There's just no way to do that, right? But I guarantee everybody, here's what people also are not thinking. Guess what's going to happen? All these people are going to spend money. What's that do? Creates more demand on the workers. The wages are going to go up too.
Mm-hmm.
So the wages are going to go up and everybody's going to have an extra $20,000 to spend. So now that family has not just $30,000 to spend now, they all got a raise. He got a $3,000 a year raise. She got a $4,000 a year raise. Now they're making $37,000. They have $37,000 more to deploy because every bit of money they made now isn't getting taxed either. So it's just, oh my goodness, it's wild. That would change America. That would change America, and I think that's what Trump wants, right? That's what Trump's eyeing right now. That's why he's going all around. He's like making this stuff happen, and I actually, to be fair, his first 100 days have been kind of impressive because he already is making the scaredness go away, right? He needs to get this all figured out in year one. He has to get it all figured out in year one. It would be incredible if he could get it done in 6 months. If he gets everybody except for maybe Canada, right? He has the whole world's on board, and then he's like, all right, let's screw Canada for fun, right? But if he has that done within a year, that's a win because everybody's happy. The midterms come along. What Trump needs to do. He needs to do this. He needs, because the midterms are not this November, but next November, right? He needs to get all this stuff done in 6 months from now or less. Get a bill passed through Congress that eliminates the income tax. Everybody doesn't have taxes on their income starting January.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think the Republicans are going to run the board if that happens in the midterms the next year? It's got to be on Trump's mind. That's got to be the plan, right? I mean, that's audacious, but could you imagine? The Republicans would win so much, and then he can do whatever he wants. Because if Republicans perform average, they're going to gain another 2 seats in the Senate. And if you have widespread, if you have something really big that happens, like, that's the House. The House goes with emotion. That's what the House does. The Senate goes more with, hey, positioning. So if Republicans overperform, they could have a 40-seat House lead pretty easily. Like, it wouldn't be crazy. I mean, look at do the 2014 congressional or midterms. 2014 midterms. Midterm results, maybe. House. Do House results. Sorry. I meant to say House. My brain wasn't working. I believe that was 2014. So Republicans won 247 seats. and Democrats won 188. So the Republicans had 10, 50. They had a 60-seat lead over the Democrats then. That's crazy, right? That's the way things swing. When something big happens, like Obama, the economy really wasn't doing well, so people were sick of it. Boom, a big wave comes. If Trump just does that 0% income, we could see something bigger than that. We could see the Republicans having a 70-seat lead or 60-seat lead. Maybe it's the same as this, 60-seat lead. Oh my goodness, 60-seat lead, he gains 5 Senate seats. Dude, that's insane. And you know who keeps breaking? Old the Pennsylvanian guy who always wears sweats. What's his name?
Yeah, oh man.
What's his name? Google, senator from PA. Oh, not McCormick. McCormick won. Thank the Lord. Pennsylvania. There he
John
is.
Fetterman. That's
John
his name.
Fetterman. My N-word, as the brothers say. No, he is hilarious. He loves Israel above everything in this world. And it's so funny to see the Democrats, like, they don't know what to do because they're like, he's buddying up with Trump on Israel, which is like 2 things they hate, right? They hate Trump, and they hate Israel, but yet he has a D beside his name, so they're like, what do we do? But
we're running out of time.
we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. We covered a lot. We
We had a lot of good things on tariffs.
We did. It was a very tariff-heavy episode.
Was.
And I would actually like to dig into exactly how they work, but yeah, no, I think we scratched the surface pretty well, gave a good comprehensive idea there. So anyway, if you guys liked it, like, share, do all the things, have all the fun things. Comment also if you want us to cover something in particular. Always comment. Yeah, that'll help us with content, figuring out what the heck to talk about. But anyway, yeah, like, share, and comment. Let's do it. We'll see you next time.